did take about, 10, 11 minutes to measure, and really coming up with this idea that we came out with, being able to measure these things instantly has really changed the times, and that's really where Roofle was born, was really when I was a contractor, saw the vision of where the industry was going. More millennials are starting to own homes. Actually, over 1/3 of the homes today are owned by millennials. So we see this age coming into the roofing space to where now they're younger, they're more sophisticated, they love technology. And so really that's where the idea came up for really Roofle Technologies of being able to really instantly measure roofs. So we look at ourselves as really the ultimate top of funnel lead generation tool. So really where it starts is that we have a white labeled technology that gets installed onto the contractor's website. So it looks like it's the contractor's technology. So when
Yep.
the homeowner comes to the contractor's website, now they can actually engage with this technology. And really what it says is that get your roof quote in under 30 seconds. And so now that when a homeowner comes to the website, which is really what they care about anyways, is really like, when I'm going to go out and do a roof, what's this thing going to cost? Is this going to cost me $5,000 or $50,000? They have no idea. And especially with inflation over the last 5 years, nobody has any sort of clue, right? So we have this technology that they can engage with. So now it's a give to get scenario. So now all the homeowner has to do is give their information in exchange for understanding what this price is actually going to be. And so with that, we measure things instantly, and it also returns real-time prices with real-time products that the contractor is actually going to offer. And what the contractor gets really in turn is that they get now some sort of lead. Now with inside the platform, we also have finance built in as well. So now they can get instant quoting, instant products, and they can also get instantly pre-approved for financing as well. So now as a contractor, you're like, whoa, this software that I have is not only converting more, because on average, we're actually converting 7 times more on contractors' websites with this technology because you're actually giving them something of value. But you're also able to get a lead that's been, pre-qualified, pre-vetted, that actually comes into to your construction company, to where now you have the opportunity to be more efficient when you're actually out there working leads because the homeowner is actually seeing some sort of price.
So I'm assuming that the back end of this software has some sort of platform that the contractor goes in, puts their pricing parameters so that it's hyper specific to them.
Yep, exactly. So inside of what we call the dashboard that we have, they go in there and they pick their products. We have a catalog of over 2,000 products in the catalog that they can choose from, and then they select those products, and they also put in their pricing for what that specific product actually costs.
What would be the typical setup time for a roofing contractor to get that up and running accurately?
Yeah, so most of our contractors that sign up with the technology, a lot of them get set up same day. But I would say, most are really, within 24 to 48 hours, they are actually up and running. So we
Okay,
have,
so that's a good answer. I like that answer, but I'm actually asking a slightly different question, which is how much manpower time does it take to fine tune that and put the pricing in? Is it so maybe it's 24 hours, but is it like 2 hours a time? Is it like 6 hours a time? 10
I
minutes?
mean, you could do it from your cell phone, and you can set those pricing and products in a matter of minutes or seconds. And
Okay.
so with our technology, we actually have an onboarding specialist that meets with contractors and helps them set all of this up. That's about a 30-minute to 1 hour onboarding. But if a contractor wants to go in there and change those after it's already been set up, I mean, you can do it in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, so I'll tell you another funny story about Lon Smith since it fits. Back in those days, before Google, of course, the Google of 1990s was Yellow Pages.
Mhm.
And when we started working with Lon Smith Roofing, we said, let's take a look at your Yellow Pages app. They said, well, we don't have one. So, well, why don't you have one? They said, and this is back when in Fort Worth, there was like literally 3/4 of an inch of thickness of just roofing contractors in the Yellow Page, full page, half page, double truck, the whole thing. And they said, well, we don't like calls from Yellow Pages because the only question they ever ask is how much is it going to
Yeah.
cost?
How much is it going to
And,
cost? Yeah.
and they were sort of twisting that and spinning it as if stupid broke people who are just looking for the lowest price are the ones who are calling from the Yellow Pages. And I had to explain to them, I was like, man, you are really smart people. You got a $50 million company, impressive. However, you're also really stupid because how else would anybody know what to ask besides how much does it cost? So there's two elements of this. Number one is while they're on the website, we can now educate them as to who we are, how we're different, why we're better, identity kind of stuff from our perspective. But also, part of the reason they hated that question was because when somebody would call and say, how much does it cost? They didn't know. They
Yeah.
had to come out, give you the video, get up on the roof of the ladder to spend the 11 minutes. So it was a big whole process. So I see this as an evolution, both from a technology standpoint and from a consumer convenience standpoint. So the
Yep.
obvious question that all of this begs, I'm sure you've heard this question a million times, is yeah, but do I really want to be giving the price in the first 30 seconds, or am I somehow kneecapping myself, hindering my ability to sell? I want to come in and do a 30, 45-minute, hour-long presentation, company story, the whole shooting match, then give my price, address that concern.
Yeah, the question that always comes up, and I love this question. So, in what
I
we've been able
figured you'd have a good answer.
Yeah. And so, we get around those things because in the platform, you don't have to give a specific price. You can give a range price if you'd like to. So now the homeowner understands that maybe it's going to cost between $15,000 and $25,000 or $15,000 and $20,000, right? So you're giving them a range. And then also on the platform, we set it up so that their products can be like a good, better, best type of scenario. So that now you're able to show them what those upgrades are, that are in there, right? So like maybe that they're looking at multiple different products and you're educating the homeowner, but you're not giving them a specific price, but you're giving them an arranged price of where they can actually expect to pay. So that by the time that they get into the home and they get there, they say, I just know it's going to cost me between $15,000 and $25,000. And I'm okay with that. That's why you're here. But really why you're here is to really narrow that price down for me. And that's really, that now becomes the sales rep's job at that point to say, I'm going to try to sell them these upgrades so that maybe it's on that higher side because they've been looking at that good, better, best scenario and say, hey, I want the best
So
because I want all these extra
is
features.
that the typical way that it runs, or is that just one? Like, is there an option to give a specific price?
Yes, yes, yes. There's an
What
option.
are
You just
most guys, what are most guys running it on?
I would say at this point it's probably like 60-40, 60% showing a range price. That because again, contractors are so worried about sharing their price with their competitors and maybe their price before they actually meet somebody. So at this point I would say it's definitely more that are presenting the range just because they don't want to just give away everything, to the homeowner. So that they do the range price.
Yeah, I mean, I understand both arguments. I think it's something that could be tested. I don't know. I mean, I guess the biggest concern is that people just vastly underestimate how much a roof costs, generally speaking.
Mhm.
So let's say that the exact price is 20,000, just hypothetically for an example, and they're coming in thinking 10 or 12. Now they see a price that's 20. And even though that's a fair price, even against the market, okay, not just this company, that people could get scared off and say, well, geez, I thought it would be higher. So then they start asking around. Other people maybe don't have Roofle. So they say, well, we got to come out. Okay, great, come out. So now the competitor comes out. He's also 20, but now he's sitting in the freaking home.
Mhm.
I can
Yep.
see that.
Yeah. And again, then that's where a lot of those guys who are thinking, that way, that especially guys who are higher priced and they know that they're higher priced in the market, they will definitely do the range pricing. So at least they can capture some of those lower ones and then, still be able to get in the house. But that's where we talk about speed to lead with a lot of these contractors, right?
That's exactly where I was going to go because I thought, this is a lot like buying aggregated leads.
Yep.
And,
Similar. Yeah.
here's my experience in companies that I work with that buy aggregated leads. Like 10% of companies are really good at it, and the other 90% try it and quit because they couldn't make it work. And it's simply because they don't have the processes in place and the infrastructure to really work that speed to lead. So this is different though, because they fill out that form. You're the only person getting that lead at that moment. So
Yeah.
if you have even reasonable speed to lead,
Mhm.
you're going to get
So
them.
So we see an average of 9.5 minutes of time on site, right? So we know that on average, these homeowners are spending 9.5 minutes on their website. So as long as the contractor can probably get that time to say below 9 minutes or below 8 minutes that they're going to respond, that homeowner is still on the website browsing the products. And so now when you call them, they're like, okay, I'm looking at the website. They're calling me. I'm still browsing these products. And now I'm having a conversation with them about these good, better, best, and all these different types of things to where now they're setting that appointment, even before the homeowners went to go find out what somebody else is going to be doing. You're actually having a conversation while they're browsing the website. And that's what we talk about great customer service for our customers, that they even ask and answer a lot of questions about the products that they're offering.
Yeah, I'm going to not glaze over something you just said that I think most people probably glaze over, which is
Mhm.
this 9.5 minute thing. And the reason it pokes me in the eye and makes me stop for a minute is because my company's core product is SEO.
Mhm.
And anybody that's heavily involved in SEO knows that one of the major factors in Google's algorithm, something that never changes and that is easy to understand, but it's hard to deliver on, is time spent on site, dwell time, number of pages. Let me give context to the listener. 9.5 minutes is an enormous amount of time on a site. It's not pretty good. It's not pretty long. It's enormous. That is a ginormous amount of time for somebody to spend on the site. And in case it's not clear, let me connect the dots for the listener. If Google sees that people are consistently spending what I just categorized as an enormous amount of time on the site, that is going to do absolute wonders for your SEO. Google's going to look at that and say, holy crap, here is a site that people really love. And Google's going to lean into that, assuming that you've done other things correctly with your SEO.
Yeah, it's a funny question because we get that asked all the time. Like, if I install this, is this going to instantly help my SEO? And we're like, well, not exactly, but it can. Yes. And just for that exact reason that you just explained is that once the traffic is coming to your website and they're engaging with the technology and they're staying on the site longer, like we see, because they're browsing products and interacting with the software, which then, increases that time. And I think a bigger thing too is that our technology's on the website, so it doesn't bounce them off of their website like maybe some other technologies that are out there. So our technology is designed to keep them on their domain and on their website so that they are getting credit for that time on site. And so that, yes, over time it is increasing a lot of the contractors' actual SEO. So it's a question we get quite often.
It definitely would take a minute for Google to notice that trend, but once that trend is noticed, like here's what people need to understand. So I'm putting my SEO hat on here. This is not a magic bullet that's going to make Google go, oh, this website sucks, and the way that they've oriented their SEO and the pages that they put on their site is terrible. But because they have this big, long, ginormous time on site, we're going to automatically, Weavy and Google, start putting this in the results. That's not how it's going to work. Here's how it's going to work. If you've built your website properly and you've got the right kinds of pages, what we call troops in the battles, geo keyword optimized pages, if you've got that done properly, this is going to be a major, major signal to Google that, hey, all things being equal, this site is more valuable than other sites that also are doing things right. And it's going to give you a huge leg up. I really believe that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And we even do talk about a lot of that stuff to contractors so that they can, before they install it, right, get your score, right? Look at your analytics, and then after it, they watch it and they're able to see how their scores are actually getting better with those people increasing time on site. So again, I think it's just educating the contractor in the right ways that this is not just a magic bullet that you're going to install
Yeah.
and increase it, but
Uh,
over time.
Imagine, I know most people aren't into marathon running. I'm actually not, but I've watched them on TV, the Olympics. Imagine like there's a race and there's this huge pack of people running, and then there's what they call the breakaway pack. You see this in cycling also, and there might be out of 1,000 runners, there might be 4 or 5 or 10 that are in this breakaway pack. They're leading the pack. What this is going to allow you to do from an SEO standpoint, it's going to allow you to break away from the breakaway pack to be actually clearly in the lead of the leaders. If you're in the crap pack back here with the slow guys, it's not going to put you in the lead. But uh, again, with my SEO hat on, I'm really excited about this because I could see for a lot of my roofing clients, this would be a major factor to help them. So I don't think we need to dwell on the SEO part of this anymore. Sorry, that's kind of my jam. So I'm leaning into it. Let me ask you this, shifting gears. Just another concern that I'm sure you hear a lot. So let's see what you have to say about it. Um, somebody go, I've done this in other situations, not with getting a roof quoted, but you go onto a website and it's like, hey, get some information or get this quote on something, and then you think it's going to be free, no strings attached. Then you see, oh crap, they want my contact information. We're at a stage of the internet where we're pretty tight with our information. What kind of abandonment rate do you see on people that get to the form and say, to heck with it, versus people that follow through and actually fill it out?
Yeah, so and I think the good news is, and again, this is a question that comes up quite often, is that the good news is that we don't present the form until after they've entered their address. So the first part of the technology is enter your address, right? Because we want to get them engaged, right? As many as possible. And so once they enter that, now their house comes up and like, oh crap, yeah, that's my house. Okay, yep, I can see here's the outline. Okay, yeah, this is my house. And then they go to the next, part, and it's
Hold
like, okay,
on.
form
Whoa,
fill.
whoa, hold time out.
Yep.
That
Yep.
you said again, I'm going to stop down because you're saying things that I think could go very quickly past people, but
Uh-huh.
I want to circle back to this.
Yep.
So I was just thinking in the background, like one of the areas where I've run into this problem before, I think it was like trying to get a auto insurance quote.
Mhm.
And it's like, hey, would you like to get a quote? Yeah. And then it asks you, what kind of car do you have? What, all these questions. Then it's like, great. What's your phone number and your email address? And you're like, I don't want to do it. But in this case, you're getting them sucked in by saying, I need your address, not because I want to bug you, because I need to measure your house.
Yep.
And people will say to themselves, well, if I don't tell you my address, you can't give me a quote. So they're I'm assuming, very easily, there's no problem saying, here's my address. Then I'm following what you just said. You're actually showing their house on what, the Google map?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So we're pulling up a Google Maps image of their property where now they recognize it and say, okay, this is
Right.
pretty
So this is
cool.
no joke. This is like my freaking house.
Yep, your house.
Okay.
And then we're
Keep
also
going. Keep
we're
going.
also yep. So we're also pulling up multiple structures too. So it's not just the house, right? So they have a garage or a detached shed or whatever it is, right? So we're showing them visually that we're picking up all these different things. So now they're kind of interacting. Like, I don't want the shed done. I don't want the garage done, right? Just the house. Or even if they wanted to repair, they could actually edit the structure and actually only do a half or a portion, right,
Okay.
of this. And so then at that point, they've interacted, right, for a period of time. And then when they say, okay, see my price, they click the button, see the price now, right, or unlock the price. That's where the form fill pops up.
Okay.
But
Average amount of time before your butt.
mhm,
Average amount of time from, yeah, I want to do this to, I'm telling you which part of my roof, blah, blah, blah. And the form pops up. 30 seconds. What do you think?
yeah, 30 seconds, a minute, about there. Yep.
Yeah, I think if you told people it was 30 seconds and then it ended up being a minute, I don't think anybody's gonna like bust your chops on that. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
this is quick.
Yeah, it's quick, it's fast. And then
Okay.
so
So what's the
and then
but?
so yeah, so then now they click the button, right? And so now it's a form fill, right? But we are capturing that address and we're giving that to the contractor. So now that even if they don't fill out the form and they don't go to the next step, the contractor is still getting that address, right? So they can still see that somebody at that address is interested in a roof replacement. So then we have partnerships and integrations that connect to different things that they can do to still try to
So you can
target.
append the other contact information to the address. So
Yeah.
what do you have stats on what percentage bail out after the address but before the contact information?
Yeah, I think it's last time I checked was somewhere right around about right around 50%. About.
Okay, in my opinion, that's actually a number that I was thinking you were going to say.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but that seems reasonable to me. Because you can now go and pursue those 50%, let's call it, if they abandon before they fill out the form. But the ones that don't, boom, they're just saying, here, hey man, permission, let's go.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think it was still getting the information. So it's like they still have something of value there with the address, but
Yeah.
even at 50% is that you're still getting about half that are still pushing forward because we've shown them enough that they've interacted with. And hopefully say, I've already spent 30 minutes or 30 seconds or a minute editing the structure or picking these things out. Let's just go ahead and move forward. Let me just give my information. And most times it's auto saved in their computer. Boom, couple seconds. And then once they hit that button, it just unlocks the price and unlocks the products. So it's instantly that it unlocks it because we've already measured the roof at the point of us returning the structures that they've seen and seen their house. It's already been measured. And so if they make any changes or adjustments to that, obviously it's gonna change those. But once they click that button, boom, it unlocks all the information to where now they get to see it.
Yeah, just thinking about those ones that abandon. Sorry, it sounds like I'm dwelling on the negative, but I'm really not because I think what I'm really dwelling on is the opportunities, right? So if somebody abandons and doesn't fill out the form, give their contact information, you said you've got partnerships that will, I'll use my words, maybe you can show me a different word that's better, but append the contact information to that address. Is that something that's instantaneous or does it take a minute or how's that work?
Yeah, I mean, so that's one of the options to where they could, what do you say? I don't remember the word right now, but basically, yeah, they can just like what you said. Basically, now where they can say, okay, I want to get more information on this, so they would click a button to get more information about what that address and try to unlock it, which takes, not a long time, seconds, to be able to get that information returned. Um,
I remember one
But
time I was looking at a service. It was something that I needed for my business. I was looking online. I clicked on a site. I looked at their information and I thought, okay, I'm not sure if I want to do this or not. And I kept browsing around and I don't know, maybe 30 seconds later, I get a phone call on my cell phone
mhm,
from that company. They're like, "Hey, we see you on our website."
yeah.
And I'll be darned if I didn't end up doing business with those guys. And it's turned into a very fruitful relationship. The details of what it is not important, but I can just see that happening with this. So again, even those that abandon, if we can get that appendage and we can now here we are again leaning into speed to lead, right? Because
Mhm.
now if you can reach out to those people via email, text, phone, whatever, and say, "Hey, I see you're looking for, a quote on your roof." That's amazing to me.
Yeah, or even people do set up direct mail campaigns. So direct mail is starting to make a little bit of a comeback. So now they're actually mailing this instant quote right to the homeowner, right, to try to get them to convert in other ways. So there's a couple different ways that we use the address only
I'd
information that does.
recommend, if possible, get the email address, get the phone number, and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I've got your quote here. Do you want it?"
Yep.
Okay, great. So now let's talk about the people that do fill out the form. They get their quote instantly. Does it get emailed to them or does it pop up on the screen? How does that work?
Yeah, so it pops up on the screen. So it unlocks it on the screen so that they get to see it right then and there. So they're still interacting with the contractor's website. So this is where our time on site starts to really increase because now you can show up to 8 different products to the homeowner. So now they're browsing different products that you're offering. So now they're looking at asphalt or tile or metal or whatever that you're offering, and they're looking at
Colors,
products. What's that? Color.
colors,
Yep.
quality,
Yep.
roof comes in what,
Warranty.
like 30-year shingles, 20, 40, whatever.
Yep. All that information. And in a lot of cases, they're attaching like data sheets, even like, so they're even opening up different data sheets that they're actually looking at. And they can also like put in there, like, what is a ridge vent? And we're offering these things and they're educating on those different things. So it's unlocking a bunch of things on the website that's getting them to stay in the website longer because now they're getting educated on these specific products, understand what their cost is. And they say, whoa, this metal roof, 75,000. We better just stay up here in this asphalt area. That's more affordable. So let's learn more about these features here. But then they're also getting an email to them as well. And the email comes directly from the contractor's email address right into the homeowner's inbox. So now the contractor has their information in the homeowner's inbox. And so the homeowner can now browse those products in their inbox as well. So they have it on the website, but then they also have it, in their email address as well.
Yeah, so then I would strongly recommend, I'm sure you would too, but I think this goes outside of your domain just a little bit, integrating this with either your CRM and or a product like Structurally that will then immediately start hitting them with text messages, emails, ringless voicemails. And from my perspective as a marketing guy, I want to make sure that these text messages are not just only simply, "Hey, do you want to, can we come out and sell you a roof," for lack of a better way to say it. But hey, here's
Mhm.
things you need to know about us. Here's how we're different. And I'm going to really lean at this point into the identity information. No different than the Lawn Smith Roofing. Think about the Lawn Smith Roofing example I gave you. We're going to give them 11 minutes while to watch this video while we're up there measuring. This is really the same thing, right? It's like, okay, here's your quote. Now they're spending 9 minutes on the site. We should spend at least a portion of that time going, "Hey, here's why you should do business with us. Here's how we're different. Here's how why we're better. Here's what you can expect." Maybe it's a code of ethics competency, code of ethics for roofers like we did in the old days. Doesn't have to be exactly that, but really setting your company apart via marketing.
Yeah, and then the contractor can also embed a nice video in there. I think it's up to like 3, 4 minutes long that they can embed in there, so that as they're browsing, they can click on this video and watch this video, and then you can do a great job introducing your company and maybe even tell them about what they're looking at or whatever they're seeing. That's in there to be able to leave hopefully a long lasting impression with this homeowner by being able to put that video in there. Maybe you could embed something about the
Yep.
exit.
Send them customer reviews. Maybe do you guys integrate with something like Project Map It?
Yeah, so we have an integration with all the major CRMs currently right now. So we
You
do
know what
not have a.
Project Map It is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we went with them a couple of times. We have something on our roadmap, looking at getting something together with Project Map It. So
Yeah, I
hopefully
can see
here.
that being a cool integration. Just like
Yeah.
as much social proof as we can push at them. Hey, here's people in your neighborhood that have done business with us. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal. Yeah.
Well, very cool. I rarely get people on my podcast that can talk as fast as me and keep up, but man, you're right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not my first one. It's definitely been a fun journey over the last 5 years as we've been building out this technology and have done quite a few podcasts, really talking about and introducing, this technology in a lot of different ways. So it's one of the things that I'm truly passionate about is educating contractors. Because again, I was a contractor for many years. So I'm really passionate about educating contractors and anywhere we can show them and help their business and how they can be better, that's really what we're all about. So, I really
Well,
appreciate you being here.
in the spirit of Roofle gives people a price quote immediately when you're on the website, why don't you give us a price quote on how much this costs to use?
Yeah, so two different ways that you can get the software. So we have a monthly option, and then we also have an annual option as well. So again, everything in the platform is fully unlimited. So we do unlimited quotes, right? So the homeowner can use it as much as they want to. We do unlimited users. So everything in the platform is all fully unlimited. So you're not worried about overages. I know as a contractor, I'm like, okay, well I buy it, but then how much extra is it going to be every single month? It's like, nope. It's a set cost. It's just what it is, every single month. So they can get it for the monthly. It's $350 a month to have it for the monthly. And then for the annual, it is $4,500 for the year. So when you buy the monthly, there is a one-time onboarding cost of $1,000 to do the onboarding cost, which is then us helping the contractor set everything up, get everything ready to go. Because I know as a contractor, it takes time and people and manpower to set it up. So we want to meet with those people and help them set it up. So it takes them as little time as possible. So there is that one-time onboarding setup. So again, $1,000 onboarding cost and then $350 a month in the monthly, or they could just get the annual, which is then $4,500 for the entire year.
Okay, and then that I am assuming based on the way you presented it includes the onboarding.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yep.
can you move from plan to plan over time if you want? Can you
Yeah,
move?
if you wanted to, yeah, you could move around from different plans if you'd like to. So a lot of the guys maybe will start with a monthly maybe and then they'll move to an annual because there is a discount on the annual. You basically get 2 months free, so you're
Yeah.
basically saving on that cost. They say, hey, this thing's working so well. So a lot of times we look at contractors and we say, hey, $2,500 for the year. How many jobs do you have to sell to cover the cost for the amount of year, right? In most cases, it's one or maybe two jobs that if they sell from this technology, the cost of this technology has already been covered.
Can you give me some at least anecdotal, if not more formal case studies of people this has worked for?
Yeah, so I mean, we have thousands of contractors on the platform that are using this now, and so we hear a lot of and every contractor is different in the way that they measure it, whether it's lead because a lot of guys are tracking lead, right? Lead cost. It's going to cost me 150 if I go buy a lead over here, so I have to be able to get X amount of leads. But a lot of times we're looking at it like return on investment up into the hundreds, if not thousands, from contractors. So some are in the hundreds of percent of return on investment, some are even in the thousands over the year that they've actually gotten a return because once they sell those two jobs, then obviously then everything else is just money right in their pocket as far as return on investment, over that period of time. And then a lot of contractors talking about 70+% close rate, on these leads that they're getting because by the time they get to the house, if they're already at the house, what else is there to come up when they actually get into the home because they've already
Yeah.
seen some sort of price. So not only is there an increase on really what the close rate is, but obviously we're increasing a lot of the ROI because again, when you're out there buying leads, you purchase them and you just keep buying more to where this is a one-time cost and the leads just keep on flowing in.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, last question. In the sales process where you're selling this product to roofers, what's the number one reason why people ultimately say, no, I'm not going to go with you? And why is that not a good reason?
We don't hear no often. It's more of like maybe it's just not the right time right now for me. And maybe it's just because they don't have a website built or the website's not a great build, as of right now, where they're not getting a lot of traffic to it and they don't intend to drive traffic there. Or maybe they're just not really doing any marketing or they have nothing that they have planned to be able to get customers actually use this. But then we talk about QR codes and yard signs and door hangers. They say, well, you could put a QR code that they scan and then it comes right here. And we start talking about all these different things. So we don't hear no a whole lot, and and if we do hear a no, it's going to be, I'm just not comfortable with sharing my price on my website. They're stuck kind of in the old ways of not wanting to expose their price. But even that has become few and far between now. And more and more they think about it, it's just more like, how do I logistically, start getting my marketing together, start getting my website together so that I can start offering these things to homeowners.
Yeah, in your world, which is Roofle, which is all of the contractors you're dealing with, use your product. So this concept of giving the price up front, or at least a range like you talked about, is very common. But in the real world, this is a revolutionary claim for a
Mhm.
roofing contractor to make to the marketplace, which is I'll give you a to the penny quote or a range, but however they want to say it, in 30 seconds. Just go to my website. Like I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
This is not common. No matter how many clients you have, very few are putting this out there that I've heard. Hey, come to my website. I'll give you a quote in 30 seconds.
hmm Yeah, we see it now where people are doing truck wraps that say get your instant roof quote or get a roof quote in under 30 seconds and just different places that it's getting out there. So I think over the next year or two, you'll start to see this be more and more common, especially like some guys that are first in their market that are offering it and be like, we're the only ones in our market where you can come and get an instant roof quote. We had a guy actually run a TV commercial, about that as far as the only guy in his market to where you can actually come and get that price
Yep.
transparency that we call it right there on their website. So yeah, contractors are becoming more and more creative with it. So hopefully the next year or two, it becomes more common to where Rich, you hear it, quite often.
Well, if I'm one of your customers, I actually hope it doesn't because I want to use it as a competitive advantage. But, things have a way of, equalizing over time. So it's all good. I mean, like I said, back in 96, nobody was doing, you had to climb on the freaking roof with a
Mhm.
ladder.
Yep.
So things have changed. This is amazing. Anything else you want to share? I'll give you the last word here.
Yeah, so I just want to share that again that come and check us out, and see if the product's really right for you. Again, it's a concept that was built by a contractor for contractors, and so I just encourage everyone to just take a look at it and start to think about the way that the industry is going is changing to where it's becoming and wanting to be more price transparent with the younger generation that's coming up. So go to our website, roofle.com. That's ROFLE.com. And you can actually go on our website and try it for yourself. Enter your own address and give it a try and see what happens on your own address right there on our website. So I appreciate everyone to, try it out.
Yeah. Last question. I just thought of this. Does it also have a visualizer tool? So if I choose a certain style of shingles, it'll show what it looks like on the roof or no?
So we don't have our own visualizer in the platform, but we actually have an integration with a couple visualizer companies that are out there. So if contractors
Okay.
are using those, they can bring those into the platform and use those in the platform. Yes.
Okay. Amazing. All right. Travis, thank you for your time. If you're a roofing company, if you don't at least check this out, that's dumb. Why would you not at least check this out? Go to Roofle. There's a button at the top right. I'm looking at the site right now. It says full demo. So go do the full demo and let it rip. It's cheap. It's 350 bucks a month. What's the
Mhm.
problem? Let's go. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
All
All
right, Travis, thanks so much. We'll talk to you next time.
right. Thanks, Rich.